Earlier today, the state Republican Party cast its sixth and final vote of the convention. At around midday today, the GOP selected its designated candidate to go up against junior Senator Kirsten Gillibrand to fill out the remaining 2 years of Hillary Clinton's 6-year term. Former Nassau County legislator Bruce Blakeman earned more than 50% of the weighted committee vote, and that gives him the right to carry the party banner as its designee. He did not escape a primary fight, however. Economist David Malpass racked up more than the necessary 25%, and that gave him a slot on the ballot as well. Also, former Congressman Joe DeAguardi, who came up short in the ballot vote today, promises to petition to participate in the primary in September. I am joined now by Bruce Blakeman. He's here to discuss his victory and how he plans to defeat his fellow Republicans before turning his attention to Kirsten Gillibrand in the fall. Bruce, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It was, it must have been a heady day for you. It was two votes, two roll call votes. Were you worried coming in? You actually had somewhere in the 40% range. Is that where you were? You were the first candidate to secure 25% and the first to announce way back in January.
Yeah, well, you'd be a liar if you didn't say that you were nervous about the outcome. So, yeah, of course I was nervous about the outcome, but I was pretty confident that we had the support to get the nomination today. There
was a lot of horse trading on that floor, I noticed. I mean, not that that should be surprising in terms of conventions, but your neighbor, actually, Suffolk County, didn't go with you in the first round. They flipped in the second round and put you over the top. What happened there?
Better late than never.
Yeah, that's what you said. I know, that's what you said in your acceptance speech. But do you know if there was something, what happened exactly? Or?
You know, most of the trading that was going on was with regard to the gubernatorial race. And
right.
I guess there were chits owed, and I don't know what they were, and I really don't care. I'm the nominee of the party. I'm just happy about that.
So, but you're the nominee, excuse me, you're the nominee, but you're not yet clear in terms of being able to focus all of your attention on Kirsten Gillibrand, the Democratic opponent. You first have to fight your way through September against fellow Republicans. David Malpass is a newcomer to politics. How are you going to make this a fight against him and Joe DeAguardi, assuming he gets on the ballot?
Well, basically, I've been very consistent. I announced before Scott Brown won. I've been passionate about the issues. I've been traveling around the state. I've been in Albany, Buffalo, Syracuse, and Rochester so many times. I think I'm qualified to vote in each of those cities and in every community in between. And I've been listening to the people, and we've been talking issues with each other. And I'm on the same page with the people, with the hardworking families of New York. They want change.
Are you suggesting David Malpass is not on the same
page?
No,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know, basically, what happened here today in my victory wasn't so much a victory for Bruce Blakeman as it was a victory for the pizza and beer wing of our party.
But wait, hold on. You're not a pizza and beer wing of the party kind of guy per se.
Yeah, I am. Absolutely.
How so?
Absolutely, because I have been grassroots from day one. I came up through the ranks. I haven't been somebody who made millions and millions of dollars on Wall Street and then wanted to have some vanity run because he had nothing else to do because Bear Stearns fell apart and now decides he wants to run for United States Senate. The reality is I've been a local elected official. I've been a town councilman. I know about town government. I know about county government. I've been a commissioner of the Port Authority. I handled budgets there of over $4 billion. I was the presiding officer of Nassau County, handling budgets of over $2 billion there. In spite of all that, I also went back to school and got my credentials in Homeland Security, and now I'm a senior fellow at Long Island University in Homeland Security. Wait a second. I have been much more well-rounded and much more attuned with the ordinary, hardworking families of New York, and I understand what they want. They want a fighter to go down to Washington, to stop spending that's out of control, to repeal a health care bill that is bad for New Yorkers, and for someone to get tough on Homeland Security, and someone to get serious about creating jobs and expanding the economy.
Okay, but where do you live right now?
I live in Manhattan.
You live in Manhattan where?
69th and 3rd.
Okay, I mean, it's not exactly a blue-collar neighborhood, is what I'm saying. I mean, it's just, when you say that you're a hardworking pizza and beer kind of guy,
right.
how do you prove that to voters? How are you connecting with voters on that particular level?
Very simple. I grew up in a middle-class community on the border of Queens and Valley Stream. I was a dishwasher. I was a bartender. I was a bouncer. I bussed tables. I worked on the back of a garbage truck. I know what it's like to make a hard living, and I know what it's like to make ends meet. And I have been there, and I'm meeting with people all across the state. I met with a guy in Oneonta who's losing his automobile repair shop through overtaxation and overregulation. I met with a dairy farmer in Washington County who's about to lose their family farm. I've met with a shoe shine guy right here in Grand Central Station in New York City who doesn't know if he can keep his shop open. People are angry, they're frustrated, they're worried. They want someone to listen to them, and they want someone to fight for them in Washington. They don't want somebody sitting in an ivory tower and telling them what to do from the 20,000-foot altitude. They want somebody who came up through the grassroots level like I came up, who understands and relates to them.
Okay, this isn't actually the first time you've run statewide. You ran for state controller at one point. It was a number of years ago now,
right.
and you looked at running for New York City mayor, and that didn't work out either because of term limits. I mean, what is it this time that makes it viable for you? You're fundraising. Each of these guys, actually, if I'm not mistaken, Malpass put $1 million into of his own money into the campaign. You put some seed money in, but not that much money. And she's got, Kirsten Gillibrand has $8 million and change. She's a prodigious fundraiser. How are you going to get this message out, and why are you viable this time if you hadn't been in the past?
Yeah, well, first of all, you know, David Malpass put $1 million into his campaign, but I raised more money than David Malpass and Joe Diaguardi combined, and I wasn't even trying to raise money.
But you were in it longer.
I had over 300 individual donations from people who felt that they wanted to be invested in my campaign. So our support is not only broad, but it's deep. And let me say this about money. Money is not going to win this election. I don't care how much money Kirsten Gillibrand has, or David Malpass, or Joe Diaguardi, or anybody else. This is going to be won on the grassroots level from the ground up. The people have had enough. You can't buy the Republican Party because it's not for sale anymore. And this country is not for sale anymore. People have had enough of the special interests. They want someone who's going to fight for them. They don't want somebody who's beholden to special interests. They don't want somebody who only listens to people who have an Ivy League education and don't listen to common people.
What about the party itself? I mean, is the party backing you? Do you feel that you have the support
of
them?
They backed me
she's
today.
Going to be, well, today, but what about before today? I mean, she's going to be a formidable candidate. She's got the support of the White House. The Obama White House moved people out of the primary to clear the field for her. She is Chuck Schumer. She's got all this cash. She's got, you know, the establishment of the Democratic Party, labor. What about you?
She can have all of that. I have the people because I understand their issues. I've talked with them. I've spent the time traveling around the state. They want someone who's going to fight for them. They're sick and tired of the fat cats and the know-it-alls telling them what they should do. You know, if these people were so smart and they were so powerful, how do we get into all this economic trouble? The reality is that we need to get back to basics. We need to use common sense. For some reason, when people go down to Washington, they forget about common sense. Common sense isn't something that you learn at Harvard or Yale or any place else for that matter. Common sense is something that you learn from values such as affordability, responsibility, accountability. And before I make decisions on spending the money of the hardworking families of New York, I want to make sure that we're getting a cost benefit from that. And not just spending money for the sake of spending money, because it's the taxpayers whose money we're using.
And probably a lot of people would want to hear that message, but if you can't get it out, I mean, right now she is polling double digits ahead of all you guys, ahead of any of the Republicans in the field. And if you can't get your message out, how are you going to beat her?
We are going to get the message out. We're going to build this campaign from the ground up. Scott Brown started out with no money, no support. He wasn't the establishment candidate. He was a guy who got in his car, went around his state, traveled, listened to the people, and he had a message that resonated with people to get back to the basics. And that's why he won. And you know what? The contributions found him. And the same thing's going to happen in my campaign. I'm not worried about raising money. I'm worried about building my message from the ground up and building my campaign from the ground up with people. And then money will find its way to us. I'm not concerned about that. It's not the reason I'm running. The reason I'm running is to be the voice for the people and let them be empowered, because right now in Washington their voices aren't being heard, and that's why they're so angry, frustrated, and worried, and I am too.
Well, we will be, I'm sure, hearing a lot more from you, but today was a big day for you, so congratulations. You are now the designee, the U.S. Senate candidate designee of the Republican Party, headed into a primary against David Malpass, then perhaps to face Kirsten Gillibrand. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, Liz.
Take care.
Thank you.
After